I'ma keep winning, winning. I'ma keep winning, winning. I'ma keep winning, winning. You can try to save yourself, but you only go.
All right, what's going on, guys? Jay came back with another video, and today I'm going to be releasing a new 2025 NFL mock draft. And in this mock draft, I'm going to be doing if the Titans pass on a quarterback, how it's going to be. There's been a lot of rumors that the new GM and the president that they're going to take best player available. Now, what that means, and they're saying that they're not going to pass on generational talent. So what that means is they're kind of hinting at maybe passing on a quarterback, whether it's Cam Ward, whether they take Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. But before we get into it, please make sure to like the video, comment down below any opinions that you have, whether you agree, disagree on whether it's happening, and subscribe to the channel for future NFL content down below to make sure to keep up with everything that's going on, whether it's the draft, the NFL playoffs, free agency, NFL combine, stuff like that. So hopping into this, Mike Borgonzi just got hired, former Kansas City Chiefs assistant GM. A lot of people think that they'd be going quarterback here. I still think that they're going to go quarterback, but there was a statement that was listed by the president that they're not going to pass on generational talent, and they're pretty much just going to take best player on the board. So with that, I'm gonna kind of mess around and just in case, what if they pass on quarterback, what would happen? So here, generational talent, it's kind of hinting at Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter here. They could technically take either one, best player on the board. I think they just need talent, really. They just need the best players. And I think that would lean towards Travis Hunter for them. I think that they need a weapon for Will Levis if he ends up staying. And then Travis Hunter can play both corner and receiver in Tennessee. Other teams, he may not do that. And I think he's going to want to lean more towards receiver anyways when he gets into the league. But I think that at least gives the Titans an upgrade in talent and gives them another weapon to be able to use in their offense. Number two, Cleveland Browns. I think in this situation, could they go quarterback? I still think that they're going to go more the veteran route. I know Cam Ward falls into your lap here, so maybe you do take a Cam Ward. But I think that they're going to want to pair up Myles Garrett with someone else, another edge rusher on the other side, and pairing up Abdul Carter and Myles Garrett would be a freak combination. I think that they're just going to end up taking best player that's there, either Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter, depending on what the Titans do. So here at number three, if you're the Giants, this goes very well for you because you're hoping for a quarterback. And if the first quarterbacks go the first two picks, then you have to kind of settle with Travis Hunter and not take your guy. But here they have both of them. And the thing is, are they going to take Cam Ward or Shador Sanders in this situation? In my opinion, Cam Ward is the better quarterback. But there's been kind of links in the past that Dion wants Shador go to a big market like New York or Las Vegas. And would the Giants take the more pro-ready quarterback in Shador since Brian Dable and the GM are both on the hot seat and they could potentially be fired? Or do they take more of the developing longer guy like a Cam Ward? I think that they were rumored to be more preferred of Shador, so I'm going to say they would pick Shador here if it's the Giants with both QB options on the board. Now, if you're the Patriots, you have a weird option because if you're the Patriots, this is one of the worst situations that you could be in at this point at number four. You're really hoping for Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter to be there at number four, really to be able to take them. And looking at the board, the next best thing for you would either be a weapon or an offensive line. Now, this would be something that we could look at more as free agency goes on. Throughout free agency, they're either going to sign a weapon like a T. Higgins or a Chris Godwin, somebody like that, or they're going to go out and get a Trey Smith on the offensive line to help upgrade it. All right. So they either need either defensive help, offensive line help, or a weapon. And I think here for the New England Patriots, I don't think the tackles are very available for number four because I don't think that they're as good as what they should be at number four. So I don't think they're really like a Will Campbell, or if you do take one, I think it'd be more like a Josh Simmons or a Kelvin Banks. But I think that they're in this situation, it'd either be a Mason Graham or a Tetairoa McMillan. And I think that they're going to look to add a weapon for Drake May, a 6'5" speedy guy that's going to catch everything. And that's just going to give you a number one option in a free agency they would have went out and gotten offensive line help with a Trey Smith, or you pair him up with a Chris Godwin, and you have Tetero McMillan and a Chris Godwin or a T. Higgins on the other side. Then you're really getting Drake Mason weapons. Number five, Jacksonville Jaguars. I think there's rumors Liam Cohen might be the next head coach. Rumors Robert Saleh might be the next head coach, but they just fired Trent Baalke. Trent Baalke's more of the freakier guy. He wants more freakier, measurable guys instead of the more talented, pro ready is. And I think in this situation, they need corner. You can put somebody alongside Tyson Campbell, and you pretty much just put Will Johnson to pair him up with, so that both of them can kind of both go together. So I think they're gonna go Will Johnson here. The Las Vegas Raiders get the best situation that they could possibly have here at number six. This would be their ideal spot. Tom Brady would be kind of scouting the quarterbacks for him, and they get their guy to fall to him and Cam Ward. They get their quarterback of the future that they can pretty much build around in free agency. Number seven, New York Jets. This is also a very good. They're going to take one of four guys if they fall to them. They're going to take Will Johnson, Mason Graham, Abdul Carter, or one of the offensive tackles. Those are the guys that they're pretty much going to be taking. And Mason Graham's on the board. You're definitely going to have to start getting someone next to Quinnen Williams to be able to eat up blocks. Quinnen Williams can't do it all on his own. He does have two very good edge rushers that are going to be coming back in Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald. But ever since they got rid of John Franklin Myers, they definitely need a defensive lineman next to Quinnen Williams. And Mason Graham would be that perfect fit. That's pretty much the best situation that Mason Graham can go into. The Detroit Panthers are an interesting spot. They had one of the worst defenses. Do you look to give a weapon to Bryce Young, or do you look to upgrade that defense? I think that they're going to be looking to upgrade that defense. Whoever's the best available on their board. Mike Green's rising up boards. James Pierce was known as kind of the overall guy that was going to be the number one overall pick last year, and then he kind of had a little bit of a disappointing campaign this year. Yeah, Malachi Starks that could fit in that secondary. But I think overall they go with the freakier talent type guy, and they go with the Michael Williams, who may not be as pro ready. Kind of reminds me of a Trayvon Walker. He's very raw, but he has the freaky attributes to be very good and kind of mold in to what Trayvon Walker has been. Actually, a pretty good impact player for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So that's kind of what a Michael Williams could be. New Orleans Saints, you're looking at a couple different options. They could use another receiver across from Olave. Olave is a good target. They're looking at defensive line, potentially an edge player, hopefully getting that defense. They could be looking for a safety to go across from Tyrann Mathieu and then be able to eventually take over. They have a lot of options. Their core of their team is kind of getting a little bit older. It's kind of an older group, so you're kind of looking to add some youth. They're also in salary cap hell. They always are every year. They haven't hired a head coach yet. I think that Joe Brady is coming in for an interview here soon, so maybe it could be an offensive guy. They were also rumored Derek Carr potentially being traded. So there's not a quarterback on the board here. So I definitely do think that they could go offensive line as well. So offensive line could be an option. But here, just for the sake of it, I'm gonna go with Malachi Starks, somebody you could put next to Tyrann Mathieu, and eventually grow there, and then learn from Tyrann Mathieu, and then eventually take over and be that go-to safety. The Chicago Bears, depending on what they do in free agency in the next couple of months, too, is definitely going to affect this pick. A lot of rumors have been Ashton Genty potentially going here if they end up signing a lot of offensive line. They have Ben Johnson, so Ben Johnson, I feel like, is going to definitely want running back or offensive line to be able to bulk it up a little bit. I still can't commit to Ashton Genty going here just because they need so much offensive line work. And they definitely do need more interior guys. And I do think that if you're looking for interior, it's definitely going to be a Will Campbell or Kelvin Banks here. In my opinion, I do think Kelvin Banks or Josh Simmons is the number one tackle. When I did my film breakdown, it's on the channel. If you haven't seen it, please go and look. Please go and watch. On Will Campbell, I was not the biggest fan of him. I do think that he could drop a little bit, but I think for the Chicago Bears situation, Will Campbell fits out the best. Whether you want to put him at tackle or guard, I do think he's more of a tackle, in my opinion. But I don't think he's the best one. But I think for the Chicago Bears situation, he fits out well. The 49ers, they're looking for Trent Williams was out a lot towards the end of that year. Is he going to be healthy coming back? He's definitely older. He's in his late 30s, almost 40 years old, playing left tackle. They definitely struggled on the defense line and the offense line. You got a bunch of pieces here to be able to add. Although I do think that they would go with best tackle available, and that's either Josh Simmons or Kelvin Banks. As of right now, I've kind of been on the Josh Simmons train. He has been hurt, so it could be a very good situation for him. You have Trent Williams kind of come out and finish it and let Josh Simmons learn behind him and get healthy. And I think that'd be a great fit for him in San Francisco. The Dallas Cowboys, a lot of people either have Luther Burton going across from CeeDee Lamb, even though they're kind of similar, or they have Ashton Genty here. For some reason lately, I've been off the train. I know Rico Dow's a free agent. I think he ran the ball very well last year. He just needs to be able to get in the end zone more and get more power and get involved in the receiving game. But he did run the ball pretty well against that Dallas, behind that Dallas offensive line. In my opinion, I think as of right now, I feel like a good hot pick for the Dallas Cowboys would be defensive line, interior defense line, or edge to put across from Micah Parsons. And looking at the defensive linemen here, let's see what we got. We got Kenneth Grant, Tyleek Williams, Walter Nolan. And then edge players, you also have almost all the edge players on the board. A lot of times, Jerry Jones ends up taking the best player on the board. And I do think somebody like a Shamir Stewart could go earlier, a Williams, somebody like that. So here, I'm going to go with the Shamir Stewart, a Texas guy that just falls to them, could be their best player on the board. And I'm starting to think that they go more edge, just because that's what Jerry Jones has gone in the past with just doing best guy that falls to him, like a Zach Martin and the Johnny Manziel draft, people like that. Miami Dolphins, are they going to be trading Tyreek Hill? That's another thing to look at. They definitely need offensive line help. They need interior defensive line help. So I think they also need safety, but Malachi Starks is off the board. I think that they would go interior defensive line here. And I think that they would go with somebody like a Walter Nolan. Would be a good one. A Deion Walker could be a good one from Kentucky later in the draft. The edge, you also have several different pieces here that are still up here, kind of similar to the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna give him an interior defensive lineman here, and I'm gonna go with the Tyreek Williams to go there. Kind of more of a big physical guy that's been playing up. He could rise up draft boards, or he could just kind of stay at the bottom first. Some people have been hinting at him kind of being able to build up in the draft and go up a bunch of draft boards. So I definitely do think they need to get that Christian Wilkins replacement that they've never actually gotten since he left in free agency. The Colts, they need tight end or edge. And their main pieces here in this draft, it falls to them. I think here they could go with the James Pierce. They're definitely getting a tight end. They haven't really had a good tight end. Get a safety valve for them. For Anthony Richardson. Now the thing is, do they go with a Loveland or a Warren? Two totally different tight ends, in my opinion. Tyler Warren is more of that from Penn State is more of that George Kittle type of tight end, a better blocker. Definitely being able to get out and still in the receiving game and more of a big, powerful guy. Colton Loveland is more of that Brock Bowers build. That's more of a smaller tight end that's going to get out and receive a whole lot and run a lot of routes. I think that they're going to want to seal the edge with Anthony Richardson while giving him a good safety valve. So I think George Kittle with Tyler Warren. This has kind of been a very similar pick. I could have them seeing a lot of the edge rushers falling into their lap and them kind of going there in that case. But for right now, we're going to have them going with Tyler Warren. The Falcons, they definitely need either somebody on defense in that front seven. They don't need receiver. They need edge or linebacker. And I definitely think that they could be going with a kind of hybrid guy from Georgia. Where is he at? This is not on a Jalen Walker type guy that's going to go in the first round. Jalen Walker is that hybrid linebacker or edge. I definitely do think he's going to be playing edge in the NFL, but he could be like a Micah Parsons and be put pretty much anywhere and play in different positions. The Arizona Cardinals, they need trenches or another receiver option, Luther Burton is still on the board. I do think that they could go Luther Burton here, and be able to put him opposite of Marvin Harrison in that slot. And I do like that fit actually. So I think that they could actually pass and go Luther Burton instead of going that interior offensive line or edge that they desperately need. I think that they could just go best player available. I do really like that Luther Burton fit. He can run the slot and kind of the speedier option on the outside sometimes and get those little gadget plays, while Marvin Harrison is more of the bigger body deep threat guy and kind of possession guy for Kyler Murray. And I think that fits very well with the Arizona Cardinals. Number 17, the Cincinnati Bengals. I think this one's a pretty simple one. They need defense, and their defense was awful. Now, if they lose T. Higgins, they could go like a Emeka Ibuka. I think a James Pierce fits very well and for him, and it makes sense for him to be able to go James Pierce, to be able to fit in there and upgrade the defense, get somebody across from Trey Henderson. Number 18, Seattle. You need a guard or a tackle, and a lot of them have fallen. You still have Kelvin Banks on the board. If he falls into your lap at 18, you're jumping for joy, and this is the best situation that you could possibly get. And that would be amazing for Seattle. Number 19, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They definitely need help on the edge pressure. And they could be losing their offensive coordinator, Liam Cohen. Rumor he might be going to Jaguars. I think Mike Green, who had 17 sacks last year and led the entire Division One football at Marshall in sacks and tackles for loss, is going to shoot up boards. I think he has the opportunity to go here at 19. I think he could even go even higher to one of these teams. I think he could go to like somebody like a Dallas that falls in love with him, maybe a Saints that wants to put him on that defensive line, somebody like that. Number 10, the Broncos. They just need offensive weapons, whether it's receiver, tight end, running back. And I think Ashton Genty is falling in this mock draft, and there's no point in making him wait any longer. You have Javonte Williams as your starting running back. He's also a free agent, so you don't have any other ones. I think Sean Payton being an offensive guy, he's definitely going to want one of those offensive players. So Ashton Genty really just makes sense here, to be their number one running back and to kind of take over and help out Bo Nix. Pittsburgh Steelers, I don't think I've ever seen them get mocked to anybody besides Emeka Ibuka. They could be looking to move on from a George Pickens, or they want somebody to go across from George Pickens. Emeka Ibuka is definitely somebody that's going to make plays after the catch. He's more of a short route type of guy, and he's going to make one or two guys miss and get extra yards. He's not really the deep threat guy that George Pickens is. So even if you do keep George Pickens, he's somebody that can go very well with them. The Los Angeles Chargers, do they go trenches here? I do think a sneaky pick for them could be running back. Even with Genty on the board, this running back class is stacked. So you could definitely wait until the second or third round to get running back. I think Judkins can move up the board. He's listed at 90 right now. I think he could be a late first round pick. But his former recruit, Loveland at tight end. Their tight end is Will Dissly, and Loveland's still on the board. Jim Harbaugh, former guy. He could also block a little bit, but he's more the receiving type tight end. I think that could be a great safety valve for Justin Herbert, considering he just threw 4 picks in the playoff game. Green Bay Packers, it's rumored that they could be trading Jair Alexander. They've needed corner the last couple of years. They haven't taken one. They passed on Quinion Mitchell. Last year, they passed on Cooper DeJean. That was right there, who's been great players for the Philadelphia Eagles. So I think you go out and you get your corner, Benjamin Morrison, who I think played his way into cornerback one in this draft, in the pro football or in the college football playoffs. He's definitely a huge ball hawk. They could go one of the corners, either the one from ECU, Siobhan Reveal, all right, or I think Benjamin Morrison is going to be one of the CB1 here. The Minnesota Vikings, they've said that they're moving on from Sam Darnold pretty much is the rumor, and that they're going to come back with Daniel Jones and JJ McCarthy. They don't really want a QB controversy when JJ McCarthy comes back. I think they need to bump up either that secondary or the interior offensive line to protect JJ McCarthy. So Ahmed Mambu is a great physical runner. He's honestly one of the best run blockers in this draft. I think he's going to be more of a guard. He could also be that tackle build, but the Vikings, I think, need him on the interior with Christian Darrisaw on the outside. Christian Darrisaw just needs to stay healthy. I think this is a great way to upgrade the interior offensive line for them. The Houston Texans, I think they also were proven in the Kansas City Chiefs game. They definitely struggled being able to block for CJ Stroud. He was sacked 8 times. So I think you go Josh Connerly from Oregon. This is a guy I think that could also rise up draft boards, kind of like Josh Simmons has already for most people when they start watching this film. He's definitely could be either a guard or tackle like a lot of the tackles in this class. He's definitely a good fundamental guy. And he does a lot of great fundamentally things. He's not a huge athletic freak, but he has the great fundamentals to be able to block anyone. It kind of puts the Los Angeles Rams in a bad situation because you're hoping for offensive tackle to kind of fall for you, and a lot of them just went on a run right before you. And there's not many other ones that have a first round grade. Maybe Irsay could go. Maybe you trade back and wait for him. Or I think that they could go with several other situations. They also need a potential linebacker, defensive guys in the secondary. They could be moving on from Cooper Kupp, but they definitely do need a linebacker in that front seven. And Jahad Campbell is a guy that's been getting a lot of hype from Alabama as a first round prospect. Linebacker's not usually a position that goes high in the NFL draft. It's kind of like that running back slash tight end, but in a weaker class with some weird kind of positions with mostly on the D line, I do think that the Los Angeles Rams would take a chance on Jahad Campbell here to beef up that front seven and worry about the offensive line kind of in round two with a lot of these guys falling. So the Baltimore Ravens, they have corner already. They have corner on here. They don't necessarily need a corner. I think they need to beef up the offensive line. But honestly, a lot of these guys have been taken, so there's not really much to do for them. I think you're just looking to go best player available. You're taking the beef up the edge, and Nick Scorington's still on the board. He's a very good edge player. He actually did very well against Will Campbell, using his inside leverage after Will Campbell overset him several times. So I think that he could be a good fit for Baltimore Ravens, who actually would need edge help, especially since the tackle's on the board. And there's not very many number one receivers on the board here still. Detroit Lions, their offensive line's one of the best in the league. You have Jared Goff. They've pretty much lost their entire coaching staff. I still think that they're going to be looking for a edge player to go across from Aiden Hutchinson. They just ended up kind of what are they gonna do with Darius Smith, who they traded for in the middle of the year, to kind of fill that replacement. They could end up looking for corner as well. Siobhan Reveal still on the board. But I think that they're gonna look at this interior class, and a lot of them are still there. And I think that they're gonna look to go edge. And with the edges on the board still, you still have a lot of them. And I think Jack Sawyer, who would have an Ohio State Michigan rivalry with Aiden Hutchinson would be a great fit. He had some amazing plays in the in the college football playoffs. And I think that would be a great pick for him. The Washington Commanders, they also need to buff up their defense. They either need secondary help or they need edge pressure to be able to kind of help them out. I think Kenneth Grant could be a decent little fit there, but I think that they look at this well, their corners are not very good. They do have Marshawn Lattimore, and several of the first round corners that they've taken the last couple of years, like Emmanuel Forbes, have not worked out. So I think you go Siobhan Reveal, who's a guy that ended up tearing his ACL last year, so it's going to be a little bit for him to get healthy, but it's somebody that can really has the tools to be able to be a great corner in this league. He's very lengthy skill set, and has great pretty much ball hawking skills at corner to be able to go up and get it. And I think that this at 29, him falling here, would be a great pick. It's just a lot of the other positional needs that aren't at corner. Buffalo Bills, you're sitting here, you need interior D line help, so Kenneth Grant falls straight into your lap. I think this is a guy that is definitely going to be able to help the Bills and their rush defense that isn't really the best, although it did a very good job against the Ravens last week. I think that this will really help them beef up. I don't think they really need edge so much. because they still have Gregory Rousseau, and it'll help them out in the trenches in the playoff time and future games. The Philadelphia Eagles, looking here, you need several positions. I do think that they would need an edge, and this is a very edge rich class, so they're going to take one when they can get one. I think somebody like a Landon Jackson, but a JT Tuilamola really played well in the college football playoffs, along with Jack Sawyer, led Ohio State to the national championship, and they can go ahead and put him next to the two Georgia guys that they got in the interior with the Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter is really starting to come into his own. Kansas City Chiefs at 32. They're going to look for the interior defensive line. A lot of the edge players have been taken. Luckily, they don't necessarily need that. Walter Nolan's on the board. He's one of the best pure pass rushers, and I think that they would go with a Walter Nolan to go alongside Chris Jones to be able to complement him so Chris Jones isn't really getting double teamed every single play. So here's a review. This is my mock draft. If the Titans do not go quarterback at number 1 and they just go best player, generational player with Travis Hunter at number 1. Chiefs going with that Walter Nolan to round it out. A lot of different picks, and this is definitely going to change as it goes on. We still have free agency. We still have the combine. We still have all the pro days. So this is going to change dramatically, and this is definitely just more of a messing around with the certain situations that are going on currently. But this has been one of my favorite mock drafts to do, especially with the quarterbacks starting to drop. It definitely makes it a lot more interesting. So please make sure to like the video, comment down below with any takes that I had, whether you agreed or disagreed with them, and make sure to subscribe to the channel to be able to keep up with future NFL content. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, feel like John Morant. Need a triple double. Told him check the stats. Yeah, I got a couple. I don't drop the ball. Now I never fumble. I'm the MVP. Now I feel like Russell. Feel like John Morant. Need a triple double. Told him check the stats. Yeah, I got a couple.